What is up, everybody? It is Drew, Traveler of the Burning Abyss, here with another video, and today we're going to be taking a look at my Swordsoul Tenyi Halqifibrax combo deck, which I think is one of the top decks of the format. Realistically, I would say this deck is probably within the top three, alongside something like PK with the Brave engine or just pure PK. I think they're both equally powerful, and Dragon Link. I think those are honestly the top three decks if you're looking to play a really solid deck this format. Obviously, there are a bunch of other decks that you can play. You can't really count much out because there are a bunch of other decks that have a very large amount of representation. However, we're not here to discuss what all the top decks are. We're here to discuss the deck that you are currently seeing on your screen. So before we jump into the deck profile, if you guys are not subscribed already, make sure you go ahead and smash that subscribe button, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload more cool and awesome content, just like the video you're watching right now. We have just also passed 1,200 subscribers, which is fantastic. Our goal by the end of, I think, this year is 2,000 subscribers. So we're already a fifth of the way there, which is fantastic. We can, well, a fifth of from what we were from our first goal. We just need, to get 800 more people roughly, and then we'll be at our goal. But that's something that I definitely appreciate. Everyone has been absolutely fantastic in helping me on this journey. It's been an absolute blast, and I'm going to keep posting more cool and awesome content. But obviously, smash that subscribe button, like I said, and give the video a thumbs up because it helps out with my algorithm and makes my videos skyrocket to the top of those recommended lists. But without further ado, let's jump right on into this Swordsoul deck profile. So Swordsoul brings back a very cool aspect to Yu-Gi-Oh! And that is the excessive use of synchro monsters. I love synchro monsters, obviously not as much as XYZ monsters because of Burning Abyss, but I do have a very soft spot for synchro cards. I enjoy playing older formats like Tengu Plant and Edison, which revolved heavily around synchro monsters. So being able to profile a deck in 2022 that kind of brings back that old school aspect is really, really neat. So let's go ahead and start with our Swordsoul ratios, in which I am playing 3 copies of Moyi, which is really your best starter with the deck. It's going to allow you to essentially draw cards and search cards depending on what you synchro summon. It's just a fantastic card as a whole, and the fact that you can just get this card out, you can reveal a worm or a Swordsoul in your hand, and you can go right into a level 8 synchro is actually fantastic. So really love 3 Moyi. And we have 3 Long Young, which I think this card is also fantastic. I don't think it's the best Swordsoul in the entire deck, but I think for it to be able to get you into cards like Baron, it makes it fully worth playing, and quite the powerhouse. And the ability to burn your opponent for 1,200 will 100% win you some games in time. So keep that in mind, that 3 Long Young is fully worth it. Then we have 2 Taya. I think 2 Taya is perfectly fine. Definitely don't play 1. You want to play 2, but don't play 3 because it's not something that you necessarily want to start with in your opening hand. It's just a very good card to either go into in the grind game, or a card that you can search to use later on at some point on like your following turn. So 2 Taya is perfectly fine. Then this one is probably the one that I'm going to get the most controversial opinions of in the comment section, and I just figured I'd preface it immediately. And that is only 2 Incredible Ecclesia. I don't like playing 3 of this card because I just think that playing 3 of it is bad. Yes, it's great to be able to break boards with and everything, but I don't see a reason to be playing a 3rd. I think that playing 2 is perfectly fine. It gets your engine going, gets the deck doing what it's supposed to do, which obviously is your goal. You just want to be able to get your engine up and running. You want to be able to get your deck functioning the way that it's supposed to function. And to be perfectly fair, I think that having just the 2 copies alone is more than enough to get the ball rolling when you see this card. And it's good going 1st or 2nd, like, don't get me wrong, but I think that, like I said, there are plenty of other cards that you can play that'll also get your engine rolling. And I just dropped the card on the ground, so I'm going to grab that card on the ground. But that's just my thought process on Ecclesia. Obviously, if you want to play a 3rd, play a 3rd. But for me personally, I find that I end up drawing multiples of it when I don't need multiples, so I'd rather just play the 2. Then we'll hop onto the Tenyi ratios. The Tenyi ratios I'm maxed out on. I'm playing 3 Ashuna, 3 Vishuddha, and 3 Adhara. Just playing 9. I'm not playing Shathana because I'm not playing Circle, so I didn't feel that there's a need to play Shathana because I don't have Circle. But this Tenyi engine is all that you really need to really get the deck going. And if you open up something like Ashuna and Vessel, you basically have a crazy combo, so keep that in mind that it's really, really good. And the Vishuddha is obviously really good for the bounce. That's fantastic. And the Adhara is not only good because it's a tuner, but the recyclability effect to get a worm back from your banished is actually insane in this deck, because there's so many ways that you can banish other worm monsters, and then you could just basically add them back for free. Then the one brick that we play, the Despot 1, it's a really good card because it's there for your combo. It just sucks when you draw it, but I mean, what are you gonna do? It's still worth playing the one of. I think it's worth it anyways, because if you open up, like I said, a Shuna and Vessel, you just combo off, and it's insane. Then the hand traps. I'm playing 3 Ash and 3 Imperm. I don't think that this is a super hand trap heavy format. Like you're better off playing board breaking cards than playing a bunch of hand traps. But if you want to play a bunch of hand traps, all the power to you. I'm not going to tell you no, because I think that, you know, you should be able to build your deck how you want. But I think that these are 2 of the best hand traps to play that are generic. And we do side deck some more hand traps, so don't think there aren't any more hand traps overall. There are some. It's just that I personally felt that these were the best ones to go with for a multitude of reasons. But primarily, I think that these cards are just the most generic and hit the most things. Moving on to the spells, though, we have 3 copies of Swordsoul Emergence. I'm not playing the other one. I can't remember the name of it. I think it's Sacred Summit. That's the other one. I'm not playing Summit in this particular list. I was playing Summit in my list pre-ban list, but I just opted to take it out post-ban list because I didn't think it was that impactful. I was only playing 1 copy of it anyway, so it wasn't really that big of a deal. Then we play 3 copies of Vessel. This is, opening this alongside a Tenyi is probably like your best opening combo that you could possibly do with just 2 random cards like that. It's actually nuts. Like, it's insane the amount of board presence you can develop just by opening this in like an Ashuna or something. So definitely play the Vessel. It's fully worth it. And you could play, I mean, you could play Circle depending on what you want to change up for ratios, but I just didn't think Circle was worth playing with my particular list. Then we have 3 copies of Droplet and 2 copies of Talents. So I think that Talents is really good right now for multiple reasons. Number 1 is the obvious elephant in the room, and it's the fact that if you get hand trapped, you could do a bunch of different things to your opponent. You know, if you're going first, but then going second, the ability to steal monsters is actually also insane. So don't discount this card, because this card is actually bonkers, fully worth playing. And if it's not working for you in certain matchups, you just side it out. Simple as that. So Talents is really good. The Droplet, I think, is almost a necessity because of things like DPE and Scythe. You want to be able to have things to counter it, and Droplet does just that. And you might even be able to get some, like, send some of your Tenyi cards to the grave too, which could then progress your game state for the better. So that's something to keep in mind. The last 2 spells that we play are one-ofs, and that is 1 Pot of Desires and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. I think that the inclusion of these is fantastic. I really enjoy it. Before, I was actually playing 3 Cosmics, and then I opted to pull the 3 Cosmics out for 1 Feather Duster and the 2 Talents, and I think it's infinitely better than playing the Cosmics. So definitely recommend this. I mean, Desire says draw 2 and Feather Duster says goodbye to your opponent's back row, so you really can't go wrong. And then the one trap, we just play the Blackout, even though the imperms kind of count as traps, but they're also hand traps, so I didn't include them with the Blackout. But I think Blackout is fully worth it. It's a pop 2, and it's a token generator, so why not? But that is the entirety of the main deck. We're going to go ahead and jump on over to the extra deck and go in depth with that. So let's go ahead and hop into it. Okay, so taking a look at our extra deck, we are going to see that we're starting with our first Swordsoul card, and that is 2 copies of Chi. So obviously Chi is a great card because it allows you to search and it allows you to negate a monster effect. That's honestly all you really need to know about this card. That's how good it is. It's that good. It's a level 8 that you can summon off very easily with your Moyi, and it just allows you to you know, slap down monster negation. And as I said, the search is good, but it's really good because depending on your hand, you can obviously grab like a Long Young, and that can go ahead and toss up another negate in the form of your Baron de Fleur. So you got to keep in mind that's actually a fantastic reason to be playing 2 of this. 2 is really good for the grind game, so definitely play 2 if you can. Then we have 2 copies of Baxia. The Baxia is fantastic for multiple reasons. You know, it's very easy to note the fact that it's going to shuffle some of your opponent's cards back. Like, that's a very, very helpful point. But I think additionally, the fact that it can summon cards back from your graveyard and allow you to extend further into your plays is also fantastic. So definitely play your double Baxia. The other thing I want to note is that it does have a decent defense stat. So if you're kind of on the run, you can always do that. But that's obviously kind of a last resort kind of thing. Then we have 1 copy of Draco Berserker. This is honestly one of my favorite level 8 synchro monsters right now. The card's just nuts. It's so nuts. Being able to swing multiple times and, you know, banish monsters to activate their effects. Like, this card is great. Really, really love it. Then the next section, I'm going to talk about the level 10s. This extra deck space is kind of tight, so in reference to the new Swordsoul synchro that's come out, you can swap what you feel necessary, but I'm not going to be showing it off because I don't have a copy of it yet. I did not get to go to sneak peek, and I honestly haven't been to my locals in like a week because I've just been so busy trying to get stuff done. But if you want to play the new Swordsoul monster, feel free. Like I always say in my videos and in the comments, I do not expect anybody to copy and paste my decks. You guys can do that when you're trying to learn them, but after you've become more comfortable with them, you can go ahead and change your ratios up to whatever you'd like. I'm basically here to just teach you how to play the game a little bit better and show you some cool deck profiles. But that being said, we do have the 1 copy of Tenyi, the 1 copy of Baron, and the 1 copy of Ruddy Rose. And I think all of these are very relevant. It's just a matter of whether or not you want to cut one of them for the new Swordsoul card. But that's kind of up to you guys. But the Tenyi is fantastic in so many different ways. Like, this card is insane. Honestly, like the attack stat change alone is enough to win you games. Like, I'm not even joking. I played in a local a little while ago. I was playing Sky Striker. I think I was playing DP Sky Striker, and I think I ended up getting like 2nd or 3rd at locals. I don't remember. It was like over 20 people, but it was pretty good. And my opponent, this was the last round, and my opponent was actually playing DDD, which was crazy. This was like probably 2 months ago. So this is before any kind of Battle of Chaos stuff was even close to being out. And he dropped this card on me, and I was like, oh, I'm like, this is going to be fun to get over. Like, this is not going to be a good time at all. But I was able to do it, and I made it work, and it just went in my favor. But Tenyi is a fantastic card. Very, very strong. Then the copy of Baron is obviously amazing too, because the negation and the pop are great, but then the bouncing back to the extra deck is also very, very strong. So Baron is just, it's amazing. Baron is Baron. Then our Ruddy Rose Dragon, this is great against any graveyard deck. Any graveyard deck this card is insane against, especially with the PK deck being a big thing right now. It's just something that you should probably be playing if you're not playing it already. But that's just my opinion. Like I said, you can swap out one of those if you want to for the brand new Synchro, but that's always up to you guys. Then we do play the Yazi and the Chaofeng. These are actually really good cards. The Yazi is very, very powerful because it's going to allow you to do your Auroradon Halqifibrax combo properly and just kind of pop off into some crazy shenanigans. And the Chaofeng is really good because it's probably going to be locking your opponent out of their light monsters. And, you know, granted, Drytron did suffer that Eva hit. I think the deck still has some potential. So people who are playing Drytron, you better watch out for Chaofeng because he's coming for you. And then any other light deck, honestly, Chaofeng can put in a lot of work against. So if you're not playing it already, definitely consider it. And then moving on to the Link monsters, we have 2 Monk and 1 Shaman. I think that this is perfectly fine in this particular iteration of the deck because, like, you don't have a very large amount of extra deck room as it is. So you might as well just play the 2 Monk instead of 3. And the Shaman, honestly, only comes up in the late game. But there definitely are some times where it's like, oh, I could do a Shaman combo, and this could be really good. It's just whether you really want to deal with doing a Shaman combo or if you can get away with not doing one. So, like I said, it's definitely a little more grind game-ish, and when you get towards the mid to late game, you can sometimes pull off some pretty wacky plays with Shaman. So if you want to play it, play it. If you don't want to play it, don't. But I think playing the 2-1 ratio is perfect. Then we have the Help combo and the Auroradon combo. This is just insane. Your Halqifibrax summons out your Despot 1, and then you link the Halq and the Despot 1 for the Auroradon, and you pop off from there. There's not really much else to say. This is just insane, and I think that on the next ban list, something with this is gonna get hit. But that is the entirety of the extra deck. We're gonna go ahead and hop onto the side deck now to see what we put in post side for the rest of the meta. All right, so sideboard time. As you can see on your screen, you're already seeing a hand trap, and I did mention earlier in the deck profile that there are hand traps that we side, and that the only hand traps that we're playing are not just Impermanent Ash. It's just in the main deck, Impermanent Ash are the most generic ones that we could go with, and in the side deck, you will see that we are playing 2 other hand traps that I think are very important against this meta. So starting off, we'll go with the obvious one that you've already seen, which is 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. As many people know, Droll is not only good against meta decks, it is also really good against rogue decks. I think that a lot of people are going to at least try out the Fluandery strategy, and this card does hurt the Fluandery strategy. Additionally, this card is going to hurt other rogue decks that I'm not going to name all of them, because if I did, it would take quite a while because Droll is just such a good card. But it's good against meta decks too. You know, it's good against something like Drytron. It's going to be good against a million decks. Like it's good against the PK Brave deck too. So like that's another thing to note. But yeah, the Drolls are just really, really powerful. Then we have 3 copies of Artifact Lancia. Also a very high impact hand trap. This card basically shuts a lot of decks down for an entire turn. If they can't banish, a lot of times their strategy's gone. So if you're playing against something like Invoked, if you're playing against PK, if you're playing against a random rogue deck, it could literally be Infernoids. Even though the monster get hit was kind of rough. But Lancia is just a fantastic card as a whole. Probably the best hand trap to be siding right now if you're not siding it already. Then for the spell cards that we side, we have 3 Dark Ruler and 3 Lightning Storm. I think that both of these have a very integral purpose in this sideboard. The Dark Ruler is, you know, your main board shut off outside of Chalice. So if your opponent doesn't decide to try and do something like a DP during standby on their Scythe, you can always just Dark Ruler them in the main phase and hope that they have nothing else to do about it, which is like really, really strong. So that's actually really cool. And then the Lightning Storm, being able to wipe your opponent's either monsters or wiping your opponent's spell or trap is very important. Keep in mind monsters have to be in attack position for the wipe to work, but outside of that, Lightning Storm is a fantastic card, just very, very strong. And then lastly is the only other card that we side in if we are 100% going first. Not to say that you couldn't side in like Lancios and Trolls going first. These are just the cards that we know we're going to toss in, and that is 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. Basically, we want to throw up another negation, and Judgment does just that for us. It gives us the ability to interact with our opponent a little bit more and stop them from trying to get rid of our field. So the Triple Judgment, in my eyes, is something that you should highly, highly consider. If you wanted to play something else, like maybe you could play copies of Anti-Spell Fragrance, by all means go for it. But I think in this list, it's just better to play the Judgment. That's just me, though. That, however, does bring us to the conclusion of the deck profile. I hope everybody really enjoyed this video, and if everybody does want to see a test hand or combo video on how to play this deck, make sure you go ahead and you smash that thumbs up button so you guys can get me to at least 25 likes. That's the minimum, is 25 likes. So it's been an absolute blast showcasing my list off, as I always say in all my videos. If you guys want to change any ratios, by all means do so. This is not a definitive deck list. I change my deck lists a lot. I just post product on the channel that I think is worthy of being posted on the channel. I don't ever usually show my tournament deck list unless it's from an actual tournament that I played in, because I like to add little surprises here and there. But I hope everyone enjoyed the video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and turn the notification bell on. And for right now, this is Drew Traveler of the Burning Abyss signing out.